This is Playmaker Agami here with a deck profile for you guys, and today we'll be taking a look at my domain lockdown. Now, this deck has, well, basically this deck is very much anti-meta. I have pretty much won against everyone that I have played against. Well, kind of. This deck is a little bricky at times, but not too bad. So, we'll go over the monster lineup, then spell and traps. So, the first three monsters you want to play, the first monsters in the deck you want to play is, in fact, the tribute engine that Monarchs now have due to the new support that came out for them, and that is 3 Idia to search out any lower monsters with 800 attack and 1000 defense, and Idios to, when he is special or normal summoned, you can activate his effect to add another 1 normal summon on the turn you summoned him. So he gives you an extra summon, but of course it has to be for tributes, and she searches him out or any of the vessels. Now, you want to run 3 Idia at most, because otherwise it's not going to work. But with Idios, you can bump him down to 2, but 3 seems to work out for me at best, although he is a bit bricky, but that's just the nature of the deck. The next card you want to run is 1 Vanity's Fiend and 1 Majesty's Fiend. Now, you can make this into 2 Vanity's Fiends or to 2 Majesties, but I run the 1 Vanity and the 1 Majesty. I pretty much like to call this the Vanity Lockdown, because he stops the opponent from anyone from special summoning. Of course, this goes against this if you happen to do so. That's why I prefer to run out of my main tribute engine and get him out after. Then there's Majesty's Fiends, which stops monsters' effects can't be activated. So they're pretty good just for their standalone effects, but yeah. Then we have Kaiser, the Light Monarch. I may be pronouncing his name wrong. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce his name or whatever. But he's a pretty good card. He can be when he's normal or special summon. I can target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them, and then draw a card for each. Now, this is more or less directed to clearing out your opponent's back row or monsters that he happens to have, but I more or less use it to clear out back row or any face-down monsters that they happen to have. But the sad thing is, he cannot attack after he activates that effect. That's the only downside to activating the effect, but other than that, it's a pretty good effect. The next card that we run as a one-off is Ether, the Heavenly Squire. She has to be run at 1 because she's limited to 1. I wish she was brought up to 2, because 2 is not that bad. 3 was ridiculous, I'm willing to say that. 2, it's not as annoying. It's annoying, but it's not as bad as 3. But her effect is you can tribute her by tributing 1 tribute monster. Then you can send 2 monarch spells or traps into the grave, then search out a 28 attack 1000 defense monster, special summon it, then at the end of the phase that monster is returned back to your hand. So she can help you get Erebus or Satalis out on the field to special summon just for that extra damage, and then it's sent back to your hand, so you can always use her as tribute for those 2 monsters. The next card we run at 1 is Satalis, the Mega Monarch. His effect is pretty simple. He can be summoned by tributing 1 tribute summon. Pretty much, when he's summoned, and if he's summoned by using a fire monster, his effect gets doubled. You can look at your opponent's hand, banish, centigrade 1 monster, centigrade that card, and if it happened to be a monster, burn your opponent for the cards equal to its original level times 200, and if it was also tributed by using fire monster, also inflict 1 damage to your opponent after that. So yeah, this card's pretty good for burn damage, but then after that it's nothing more than just a beat stick. But its burn damage is pretty good if you're going up against like a Blue Eyes deck or Time Lords. The next card we run at we run at 3. I personally run is Illusory Snatcher. Sorry, my cat. I don't know what the heck she's doing. But we have Illusionary Snatcher. This card is pretty good because it special summons itself if you tribute summon a monster. So you pretty much get a 24 attack monster with 28 or another 24, so that's pretty good. I know that card was more or less used in the Monarch Extra Deck variant, but I more or less use it just to help me get like an OTK out on the field. The next 3 cards you're going to run are Essential, the Erebus. He's pretty good. All the Monarchs have that whole being tribute 1 monster, special summon. But his effect is, if he was normal summoned, you can send Ether. You can send 2 spells or 2 Monarch spell and traps to the grave. Then he can target 1 card in your opponent's hand, grave, or field, and then shuffle it back into the deck. And whenever he's sent to grave, you can actually banish. You can pitch 1 Monarch spell or trap, and then retrieve him or any of the other Monarchs that you happen to have lost in battle. So he's a pretty good card. So next we're going through the spells. And for spells, we have to run 1 Pantheism of the Monarchs because it's limited to 1. Now this card is ridiculous. I can see why it has to be at 1. I actually prefer it at 1. Those of you that think it should go up to 2, okay, that's kind of pushing it. 3, okay, you're crazy. But yeah, Pantheism of the Monarchs. You can just send 1 Monarch spell or trap, pitch it from your hand. Then draw 2 cards. Then if this card's engraved, you can banish it and reveal 3 Monarch spell or trap cards from your deck, and then your opponent has to choose 1, and the other 2 are shuffled back into the deck. That's pretty crazy because there was always this weird play that happens where if you were to do that to your opponent, banish and then choose 3. People would just abuse that and just like put out 3 domains, 3 tenacities, and it's just, yeah, 1's okay. 1 is definitely okay. Foolish Burial Goods to send any spell to the grave. Preferably this one if you don't want it in your hand. Then we have the Monarch Stormforth. This is pretty good for taking out problematic monsters. And it also helps you get out a tribute if you're running low. We run Foolish Burial to help either send Edios or Idea into grave for more plays there. The one Rhoda to search out Idea. We run 2 Terraformings to find our domain. We run 2 Return of the Monarchs. This helps us add to our hand more of our beat sticks like Erebus, Satalis, or Ether to our hand, or even add Kaiser or Illusory Snatcher and Majesty's Fiend to our hand. So it helps us get to our monsters quicker. We also run 3 Tenacities. Tenacity is pretty much our spell and trap searcher of the deck. Of course, you have to reveal a monster with 4,000, or 24,000, or 28,000 from your hand to search. Then we run 3 March of the Monarchs. This more or less helps us with protection of our monarchs, especially any tribute monster, especially our Vanity's Lockdown. So our opponent just stays just locked. Then what helps reinforce that lock, especially locking the extra deck, is Domain of the True Monarchs. This pretty much just stops your opponent from it doesn't stop your opponent from completely not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but it just stops the new summoning mechanic, Link summoning, in its tracks. It also was a big big obstacle to get over during during the Pendulum era. But other than that, it's a pretty good deck. So that was pretty much. Oh, and for our trap lineup, we do run 3 Monarch Erupt. This is more or less just to that extra monsters effects can't be activated unless they've been tributed. Unless they are tributed monsters, this is pretty good. But this card has a problem. If you don't control a tribute monster, this card blows itself up. So that's why March is pretty good. And then we run the only 2 the Prime Monarchs. This is more or less one of those cards that help. That's another good little tribute engine because it counts as 2 tributes. And all you have to do is banish a Monarch spell and trap to get it out. And when this card is just played as a normal trap, this card can send. You can pick up to 2 Monarch spells and traps, send them into the deck, shuffle, and then draw 1 card. So this is a pretty good draw card and little tribute engine. So that was the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This deck is pretty fun to play, especially if you're going to be competitive, because this is a anti-meta deck. So this stands up to something to like Trick Stars, maybe Zodiacs and True Dracos, because those are still a thing still. But yeah, all in all, this has been my deck profile of my domain lockdown, and so yeah, comment, like, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and hope to see you guys in the next video real soon. Anyways, this is Playmaker Agami, signing off.